Hello everybody and welcome back to Crusader Kings, where we are still being fairly patient here, although our patience is starting to pay off at this point. Now, you'll note that I'm here asking our husband to educate our son, and that's because he's Midas touched, so we'll definitely work on that. Okay, so he's working on that one. Fantastic. Now, our son is sickly. We'll see if he actually survives. Hopefully he gets over that. That's the dream. So we're in debt right now, and we need to revoke this title as a relatively high priority. Who is this? Our aunt and spy master. Remember all of the good times. Okay, we have a rogue servant here. 60 gold, huh? She's apparently been stealing from us. This is a lot of stress. I believe we're kind, correct? Or generous, okay. We'll show mercy. It's fine. I don't actually care that much about 60 gold. I mean, it's 2 months worth of income right now, but that will change. We will be making a lot more money. Now, we just had a counselor die. That was our chancellor. We're going to replace him with this guy. That'll be fine. Okay, so we do need a fair amount of additional control. We're no longer in debt, although we still gained a corruption up over here. That's unfortunate. Liege conversion has been halted. Sure, whatever. And he entered a regency. Okay. That's absolutely fine. So our current goal is to retract this title, but we've got a 3-year truce. So we have to wait on that. That's fine. So now what we want to do is we want to build up our money levels. So we can ransom these people. And this is maybe not a bad idea. I don't want to ally her. She doesn't want to ally us either. Fair enough. So that's all fine for now. I'm definitely interested in ransoming these. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. They're very angry at us, though. Maybe we should hold them in prison for a while first. Until they have a little bit of time to chill out. Specifically, our main problem right now is that attempted arrest situation and revoked my title. Well, they're going to get over that, but in about 10 years. So that's going to be a little while. Yeah, I think we're going to decline these. I think we're going to tell them, no, you're going to remain in prison for now. It is a fair amount of gold that we're leaving on the table by doing that. But the reason I want to do that is because we can keep an eye on them in prison. They can get up to all sorts of awkward shenanigans if we let them out, and I think they'll cause us significant trouble. So we don't want to allow that for right now. So Calicut is at this point up to almost 80. We do get a new stewardship perk, and that gives us access to divided attention, which is +2 domain limit. Now that's very, very good. I'm going to grab that, and then we're going to grab Architect, and then we're going to start working on the Avaricious tree. We do gain lifestyle focus over here at an accelerated rate because of our stewardship education. So hopefully that won't set us too far behind on the gold curve. That's the dream, anyway. So in our capital, we could do an upgrade. This is going to be upgrading the hunting towers, which honestly we might not want to upgrade. How far can we take these, hypothetically? Well, we can do this right now, so it's not actually telling us whether we can do this, I don't think. If we go here, we can. Gotcha. Okay, so we can take this up to level 6 at this moment. That's noted. But what I really want to do is I want to save up some money, and I want to start building some castles out over here, because look at all of these domain limit. This is absolutely fine. So 15 stress reduction is fine. Seems good. So no problem there. And apparently we gained a favor hook on him. Not that we can do anything with that yet. We'll get there. So we've got a good amount of cash on hand at this moment. And the real question is, do we want to get some of these upgrades going? I think definitely upgrading our wind furnace over here does make sense right now. I know I just said we wanted to spend money on this, but we're 2 years away from being able to do anything here. So we'll hold off on that for the moment. So without any gold boosts except for the wealth focus, we're almost at 40 gold per month. That's not bad. And what's our endorsement here? 5.1 out of 7. Okay. We're also not swaying our brother right now. We should do that. Okay. So that's all under control. And we lose 10 more stress. Cool. Speaking of control, the control level down here is maxed. Somebody stole our prize scepter. Very rude. Very, very rude. And we just discovered banking. Now, that mostly isn't all that helpful for us. 10% development growth is nice, right? No doubt about it. But that's not anything that's going to significantly alter our priorities or anything. So that seems fine. Stop wasting my time. We're going to lose 5 stress and not spend gold. Excellent. So we are up to 37 gold per month right now, and that number is still increasing as we get these control levels up, specifically in these 3 locations. This control level is, of course, maxed, so that sounds great. 18 months on this truce. We are absolutely interested in revoking this title, but it's going to take some time. We'll see if she lets us do it or not. Should be fine, no matter what. We're in a very powerful position at this moment, and it should be absolutely fine. So, out over here in the Sakana of Kolathanad, what do we want to upgrade? Well, honestly, I think that rope walks would be the way to go here. But again, we're going to be moving our mangonels out of here. So we need to think about... Oh, we just finished promoting culture down over here. That's neat. Okay, so what we want to think about is what do we want our additional men-at-arms regiment to be? These are our options. We could go for a second unit of siege. So there's 3 coastal castles here. And then we could put 2 castles here. And this would essentially be our entire domain. We would never be able to get more than this personally held, most likely. So that would bring us up to, we're at 5 right now, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's very significant on the domain limit. No doubt about that. Okay. So a second unit of siege is maybe not the worst idea in the world. A lot of these we don't need to construct yet because we don't have anything to put in them, right? 1 castle, we wouldn't even... Yeah, we would need 1 if we take this. And then the rest of these we would just leave empty for the time being. Well, we'd probably build them, but we wouldn't really know what we're going to put in them yet. So we're going to eventually switch our Pakes over to crossbowmen. We know that. That counters elephant cavalry. This counters heavy infantry, heavy cavalry, and archer cavalry. A second unit of pikemen may not be the worst thing in the world. But honestly, I don't think there's anything that we have significant coverage lacking on right now. So I think we're probably fine on that front. I am going to get the forestry upgrading over here in our capital. So we're up to 40 gold per month now. Fantastic. And our heir has gained the trait Bossy. He is still sickly. That's unfortunate. But we did just complete our control down over here. So we do want to start working on county control up this way. Now that's possibly going to cleanse the corruption, but I don't think so because our control isn't maxed. So, right. We have a chance every month to cleanse off this construction until our control maxes. And when our control maxes, then it will instantly purge the corruption, but lose us 25 control. So that's understood. Hopefully it purges off of there before then. That would be the dream. It's also pretty likely that this is maxed by the time this is. Yeah. Or very close to it, depending on whether this purges off or not. We'll see. So that's absolutely fine for right now. We're up to 41 gold per month now, and that's excellent. Our truce, 7 months. Now, our prestige is not great, and that's noted. Ah, our heir is no longer sickly. Excellent. We would like to have another child. It's pretty unlikely at this point, though. We're 43. The odds are definitely declining at this point. There's just not much we can do about that. That's just the way it works. So, with that in mind, we are definitely a little bit concerned about not having a spare here. But it's not the end of the world. So we just finished up over in Mahal building our preheat procedures. Perfect. And the county corruption over here was actually cleansed. Okay. So control levels are looking solid. No doubt about that. I do want to work on wind furnaces here. So we'll get that going. Okay. So our sisters are not very happy with us. Shockingly. I think we'll keep them in prison for another few years here until that revoked my title goes away. So that'll be another 7 years, and then we'll look to ransom them. Again, we're playing the long game here, so that'll be absolutely fine. Now, I do want to come down and work on our control over here, although it's very close to being maxed. Perfect. We get a new stewardship perk, and that is going to be Architect. Wonderful. So Architect is now completed, and we have been appointed as the Royal Architect. Okay. And we had a Mendel break. Okay. That's not ideal, for sure. Okay. This is going poorly. We're getting so much stress right now. We need to be working on getting rid of some of that stress. Hopefully it ends up happening. One thing we could do is we could do a recreation activity. So that would be something like a feast or even a funeral. So where would we want to do this? Give out increased piety, stress loss, and legitimacy. So what is the score here? Okay, there's a temple here. There's a temple here. Right. We can just do it right here. So that'll be fine. And who is the deceased that we're going to hold the funeral for? It will be our sister. As far as the activities go, we can do something like extravagant ceremonials. It's going to be a little on the expensive side. And our goal would not, in fact, be more necessarily, but I guess it's fine. There isn't one here for, like, I don't know what it would even be called, like, grieve? It would be about reducing the stress, not about gaining piety. But these other options aren't what we're looking for. So we'll do something like this. We have no travel issues. Let's go ahead and start this funeral. So the idea here again is stress loss. We're throwing money at it. So we'll never forget her. That's 25 prestige. And we're waiting on a few guests to show up here. Okay. So we finished up increasing control in a county, and we also finished up our wind furnace upgrade. So we're now making 50 gold per month. Wow. That's insane. Especially when you consider we're not even in the avaricious tree yet. That's pretty wild. Okay, so we're beginning the funeral here. Okay, so that's not good odds. We'll speak of her virtues. I would like to build some legitimacy, but honestly, 8 stress reduction. That's nice. What else do we have here? 76% chance of gaining legitimacy. And we would lose 8 stress. This is losing 15 stress, and this is losing 15 stress. But I'd love to get this legitimacy and lose stress. And it worked. Beautiful. Okay. We'll gain additional legitimacy here without spending gold. Fantastic. This has not been a huge amount of stress loss thus far. But we'll see what other events we have. 8 more stress reduction. Cool. And 10 more stress reduction. Keep in mind, we've made so much stress over the last little while. Okay, we'll see if we can grab ourselves some piety. Nope, the child was traumatized. Okay. If we speak a quiet prayer here, we would lose 15 stress, and we can do this because of our mourn intent. And we'll definitely take that. Excellent. I'd really like to get our stress level down to at least stress level 1. So this is 33 stress reduction. That's significant. So there's our stress level reduced. Okay. And another 30 stress and a bunch of legitimacy. Wow, that was a lot of legitimacy, actually. So that was really solid. So at this point, we're returning home. There we go. And we would like to get more upgrades going. So for the moment, I don't think we want to upgrade the rope walks here because we are planning on putting our siege weapons elsewhere. What that means is we should upgrade our forestry. So we'll get that going. That will be absolutely fine for now. So checking in on these situations here, if we look at our sister's opinion of us, this is still going to be another 7 years before she's, you know, no longer super upset about us revoking her title. I'm sure it's fine. So I'll just let her rot for the moment. And how are we doing here? 7.9 out of 7.9. So that's where a lot of this gold came from, now that we're earning 50 per month. So that's very solid. And I would very much like to build a forestry upgrade down over here. 50 gold per month is, of course, pretty decent. And we should be no longer truced over this direction. So if we wanted to revoke this title, she would not accept this. We will lose 100 legitimacy as well. If we imprison her instead, she's a known criminal. She stole an artifact from us. We can do this without her being viewed as a tyrant. So us being viewed as a tyrant. We've got an 80% chance here. That's a pretty good chance. Let's do it. Got it. Fantastic. Now we're going to revoke this title. This is an act of tyranny, unfortunately. It's guaranteed to accept, but we would gain 40 stress from it. I'm a little surprised. She is a known criminal, but I guess title revocation isn't a possible punishment for that. If we were to execute her, then her daughter would become the ruler here. This is not all that useful for us. I don't think we want to do that anyway. What I'd really like to do is simply revoke the title, and maybe we just take the stress hit and the legitimacy hit. Done. Okay, so we gained her title, and that's very Actually, our stress isn't that bad. I expected our stress to be worse than this. Fascinating. So now we're at 6 out of 9, and we can definitely see that we're going to want to do some work here. No doubt about that. So one thing that I'm thinking about is we had previously built these tax assessors here, right? But a lot of our men-at-arms are here. So we could theoretically build military academies there. Yeah, royal armories wouldn't really be the plan there. Crown smithies are really only about this holding, so that's not very useful either. I think that we'd probably want to go about building military academies. Specifically for that size of men-at-arms regiments +1, that's very impactful. But right now is probably not the time to do that. So, we're at 6 out of 9, and we do need to increase our control level out over here. So we'll work on that. And we're going to want to build some castles throughout here. So if we were to build a castle here, how much is that going to cost? 340? That's actually quite cheap. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, we're going to want to put in a workshop here. So I'm going to get that going, and we're doing that instead of building a castle right now. The reason I'm not prioritizing building these castles right now is because we just don't have the men-at-arms for it. We had a counselor die. That was our chancellor. Okay, I'm not surprised. Our previous chancellor was pretty poor health. So we can do something like this. That'll be fine. Okay, so our control levels here are going to take a while to grow up. That's absolutely fine. And we're going to hop over with our mangonels and station them in Madurai. Then I want to come up over here. I want to create a new regiment. And what regiment do we want? Well, we don't have any heavy infantry right now. So if we're faced with spearmen, what do we have that counters spearmen? Kinda nothing. So maybe a unit of heavy infantry is the way to go here. So we just put one unit in here. We'll expand it later. And we'd put them right up over here. We now want to replace these rope walks. So barracks are heavy infantry damage. And that's the only building available here. Hang on. That's the only building available here. But outposts are available here. Are outposts available here? No. Okay. So that has an effect on the landscape. So we need to check through these. Yeah, outposts are available here. So that means that, and also forest forts. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty significant change to how I usually do this. So here's what I'm thinking right now. Down over here, we have access to walls and towers. These are heavy cavalry. It's not light cavalry. I would prefer to have light cavalry for that. Now, light cavalry counters archers. If we were to have heavy cavalry, these also counter archers. And just have better stats, with the exception of the screen. So here's what I'm thinking. Heavy cavalry go here, because we are able to replace the hide tents with walls and towers. Those boost heavy cavalry. We'll also need stables here. So this is going to be a pretty significant hit to our income, but that's okay. We're going to have additional income out over this way, most likely. And eventually our income won't be that big of a deal anyway. So that means that in Cananor, we're interested in potentially putting in outposts to boost our archers and forest forts to boost our archers. And militia camps. That's a lot of building slots. Because that means we need to have rope walks, bellows, we would need to have outposts, forest forts, and we would need to have militia camps. That's all of these building slots that we currently have available. If we go into here, we can see that windmills is going to give us an additional building slot, which will be convenient. But that's still an awful lot. We would be losing quite a lot of income by doing that. But this will dramatically increase our military power, which we can use to replace our income through vassals, in theory. So that seems reasonably fine. So out here in Madurai, we're just going to have our mangonels there. That makes sense. Up here, we know for a fact that we want this to be archers. This is also a location that is ideal for archers. This here currently has pikemen and is also an archer ideal location, so we might need to relocate some of these down over here, specifically to these farmlands. So that's definitely something to think about in terms of optimization of this. So our light cavalry are here right now. We know for a fact that we're going to replace our light cavalry with heavy cavalry, and we're going to move them to Mahal. So we're going to do that, and our Pakes are going to be moved over for now to Kolam. So here, well, actually, we don't want our Pakes here long term. We're going to replace them with crossbows, but I'm going to move them up over to Calicut for right now. That moves our war elephants down here, and this is a fine place to have war elephants. The only thing for war elephants is that we want to have the, well, war elephant workshop, right? So that seems fine. No problem there. And we can build, once we get an additional building slot, we can build workshops for the station siege at Men-at-Arms siege progress, which would be absolutely great. So that seems relatively fine. Our war elephants are unstationed right now. They're going to Colo. So that's understood. But for our heavy infantry and for our pikemen, I think we're going to actually want them to be down over here. We've got too many jungle provinces at this moment, but that's going to get cleaned up out over this direction with at least 2. So that would mean pikemen and heavy infantry can go here and here. So that's fine. Our archers are up here, pikemen, heavy infantry, and elephants. Yeah, I think this is fine. So we want to replace this with walls and towers for right now. That will make us more money. So for the moment, we want to work up our income a little bit. This up here, we can definitely upgrade our bellows. That will also increase our income slightly. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to continue to work on reworking all of this. We're definitely going to need these 2 castles right here, because we should be able to build buildings in them, I think, that are going to boost up our infantry, because these are farmland locations. So I'm pretty sure that we can build buildings there. We'll find out. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Spock, and all the rest. And, of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.